Listening is actually the first step of knowing someone. Once you hear their story, by connecting it to your own story, you actually make them feel known, that you understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, there's real power in empathy. And one of the greatest truths we have in Christianity is found in Hebrews chapter 4, where the Bible says, "For we do not have a high priest who's unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but he's been tempted in all of the same ways that we have, and yet he was without sin."
I think it's one of the most overlooked qualities about Jesus in today's day and age, that not only that Jesus sees our struggle, not only does he hear our struggles, but he connects to the heart and pain of our struggle, because he actually experienced the same things that we did.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that God actually came and has dealt with all the same kinds of pain and struggles that we have, and yet he didn't sin. So the important thing for us to understand is how God connected with us by empathizing with us. So first we listen, and then we have to figure out what's the best way to connect with someone by empathizing with them. The funny thing is, even in just 10 minutes, we were able to talk about spiritual things. So I wasn't, forcing my opinions, and he wasn't forcing his on me, but we were able to talk about truth. We were able to talk about reality. We were able to talk about Jesus, and we talked some about our spiritual thought life. And so even in just 10 minutes, having first met somebody at a coffee shop, you can do it in a way that isn't threatening and that actually yields potential relationship.
The key to all of this is to show that you're an actual human being. People want to know how you struggle. They want to know how you coped, how you prevailed, or how you're currently dealing with your struggles.
Well, remember, the Bible tells us to weep with those who weep, right? It also tells us to bear one another's burdens, okay? So we do have a call, a unique calling as Christians, to actually come alongside folks who are suffering and feel their pain to the point of shedding tears. Now, that's a whole nother level of solidarity, right? It's one thing to say, okay, yeah, I kind of read about it in the newspaper, maybe I know somebody, but it's a whole nother thing to say, hey, if you're hurting, I'm hurting, to the point where I shed tears as if it were my family, as if it were my children, as if it were my health on the line here. And so I think that one thing we can do in order to fulfill that calling, to weep with those who weep, is to learn about suffering, to be learners, to ask the people that are suffering about their experiences, and not to do so defensively, but to do so with a spirit of humility. Say, hey, can you just tell me what it's like to be you, to walk in your shoes?
And in the case with our new friend, Matthew, it'd be so easy for me to connect with him on the belonging theme, because first of all, that's my theme. That's my main one. I've had experiences with all 5, but that's the main one for me. And there's been so many times in my life where I've felt lonely or disconnected. And we actually talked about that in the first 10 minutes. So it'd be so easy to just bring that back up the next time we get coffee.
And I think at the end of the day, we live in an incredibly divisive time, and we could stand to gain a lot more empathetic people.
Yeah, let's become those kind of people.
Let's become those people.